Welcome back. You're watching an India Today exclusive, the ISIS terror tapes. Linked very closely to the ISIS recruitment blitz in Kerala is what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir. Because you would have seen on the 10th of May, Zakir Musa, who at that time was the valley commander of the Hizbul Mujahideen, put out an audio recording in which he disassociated himself from the Hizbul Mujahideen. He declared that Hurriyat leaders are traitors, they should be beheaded publicly at Lal Chowk in Srinagar. He also pledged his allegiance to the Islamic State. Sabzar Bhatt was made chief of the Hizbul Mujahideen after Zakir Musa broke away. Soon after, Sabzar was killed in an encounter in Thral, which is where he stays. Now, India Today has been able to access, through sources in the intelligence establishment, multiple intercepts which suggest that cadre of the Hizbul Mujahideen suspect that Zakir Musa betrayed Sabzar Bhatt, and that's how Sabzar Bhatt died. This is an India Today exclusive. Multiple audio recordings, radio chatter, militant ranks in the Kashmir Valley abuzz with talk about a serious rift between Zakir Musa and the leadership of the Hizbul Mujahideen. Radio and mobile chatter intercepted by India's intelligence agencies reflect a high level of distrust between the former Hizbul commander Zakir Musa and the terror outfit he led till recently. In the aftermath of the encounter killing of Burhan Wani's successor Sabzar Bhatt, Indian intelligence agencies have recorded multiple conversations where Hizbul Mujahideen cadre can be heard discussing whether Zakir Musa betrayed Sabzar Bhatt. Hizbul terrorists seem to suspect that a personal messenger close to Musa tipped off the Jammu and Kashmir police about the location of Sabzar's hideout. Inputs received by intelligence agencies suggest that the UJC, the United Jihad Council, now wants Musa dead at the earliest possible and wants no effort to be spared to achieve this goal. A very, very interesting dynamic this playing out in the Kashmir Valley, terrorist versus terrorist. Possible fratricide, Jaidev Ranade. Now, the Indian agencies are looking at this very, very closely. Multiple conversations which we are privy to seem to suggest that Hizbul Mujahideen cadre believe that Zakir Musa, who's now broken away, pledged his allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, sent a messenger who gave away the location of Sabzar Bhatt. From a PSYOPs perspective, this is brilliant, but suddenly you have a very uncertain dynamic operating in the valley.
Yeah, you have a very uncertain dynamic. The first reason is, why did Zakir Musa switch allegiance? ISIS, as I told you earlier, is looking for a softer target. They think this is a softer target in India. They may have enticed him, obviously, by giving him a lot of money. That raises the second question: who is going to keep funding Hizbul Mujahideen now? Because the people who have been making the deliveries of cash are the Pakistanis from across the border. The ISIS, I don't think, has the network to make the supplies. So one question is Zakir Musa's being able to survive and collect people around him. The second is whether the ISIS will be able to continue to give him the money. And the third, whether Zakir Musa did this, whether he fingered, as they say, Bhatt, in order to improve his value to the ISIS. The other thing is, of course, that this could be a falling out which has happened due to other reasons, and in which case I think we will see a lot of blood being shed between these two groups.
But we've never seen anything like this, Sandeep. In the Kashmir Valley, all commanders, whether it's the Lashkar, the Hizbul Mujahideen or the Jaish, owe their allegiance to their handlers in Pakistan.
That's right.
Ultimately to the ISI. Here's the first time Zakir Musa is breaking away, saying, I believe in Islamic Caliphate. And the ISI is panicking. Because if this becomes the dominant thought, then the ISI is out of business in Jammu and Kashmir, and India has a new enemy to deal with.
True. Rahul, what we are seeing in Kashmir is actually a much smaller version of what happened in Pakistan after 9/11. If you remember, there was a huge a vertical split virtually in militant groups after 9/11, where a large portion of them in groups like Lashkar wanted to fight the Americans, and a very large portion were still, facing India. So the ISI was in a bit of a quandary there, that they had to refocus the people who were, wanting to fight America back into the fight against India in Kashmir. And that's the problem that we're witnessing here, which is a fight between, the political fight within Kashmir versus the larger cause of Islamism, which he seems to be, advocating.
And it's linked. Our first story about the ISIS terror tapes from Kerala. Here again, you've got a bunch of young impressionable terrorists who instead, and they look at the ISI, they look at Pakistan and they say, why should we bother with these people? We'd rather pledge our allegiance to the so-called idea of this Islamic Caliphate. Mr.
Exactly. And the point is, are they getting something more? Because they're fighting, after all, there is some degree of materialism here. So what is it that they're getting to carry on the fight? But I might mention here that this is not the first time that we've seen the split in the HM. It has happened earlier. I think it was 2002 or something, when one underground group came across and were willing to cooperate with the government. In fact, they switched sides. But that was with the government, and this time it is joining another higher value, if I may call it, terror organizations like the ISIS. But the question is, the ISIS doesn't really have a footprint in India yet. So what are they going to do? Are they really going to create that footprint? Or is it just going to be a flash in the pan and peter out?
And that's exactly the point. Can they penetrate deeper, or will it just be an ephemeral presence?
Exactly.
Let's now bring our viewers part 2 of the ISIS terror tapes. We've shown you part 1 of the ISIS terror tapes. Now sit back as we bring you a ground report from Kasaragod in Kerala, which is where Abdullah Rashid is from, which is where other people who've joined ISIS ranks in Afghanistan have ventured from. Why is it that Kerala is emerging as ISIS's #1 fertile breeding ground for potential recruits? Sit back and watch part 2 of the ISIS terror tapes. Tracked down, the ISIS's recruiter-in-chief for India. India Today digs out Abdul Rashid Abdullah. The Kerala man wanted for leading recruitment operations in the country for the deadly terror group. His secret network in Afghanistan laid bare. India Today breaks into his coded transmissions.
Murshid kalyanam കഴിച്ചത് ഒരു she was not wed before, new virgin.
My friend Murshid married a virgin woman. Sajid married a widow with 2 children. Manjat also married a widow with 1 child. So whatever the case is, getting married here is easy.
He has 1 kid. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ആരായാലും widow ആയാലും എങ്ങനത്തെ കേസായാലും ഇവിടെ നിക്കാ വളരെ എളുപ്പമാണ്.
A devastating revelation. This is how Kasaragod's Abdul Rashid Abdullah lures youngsters back home into joining ISIS forces. The lure of women, housing and food. India Today nails down what has for long been suspected: Kerala's disturbing connections with the Islamic State. Its tentacles spreading far and fast down south. The lush seaside tourist hub turning into a fertile ground for new insurgents. This is the Kasaragod home of ISIS's India handler Abdul Rashid Abdullah.
അപ്പോൾ ഇത് പിന്നെ റാഷിദിന്റെ ഉമ്മേന്റെ വീടാ അല്ലേ? ഉമ്മാമ്മന്റെ. പിന്നെ ഇവര് പിന്നെ ചെറുപ്പം മുതൽ റാഷിദ് വളർന്നതൊക്കെ ഇവിടെ തന്നെയായിരുന്നോ?
അവര് ഗൾഫിലാണ്.
അവരല്ല.
Highly placed security officials told India Today Abdullah took a group of 21 Keralites to ISIS strongholds in Afghanistan. 17 of them from Kasaragod, 4 from Palakkad. According to investigators, his recruits included professionals, doctors, engineers and management experts. In the NIA charge sheet, Abdullah is accused of influencing the youth and their families into the ISIS. Some reports suggested that 2 or 3 Kerala recruits Abdullah led were killed in security operations this year. So far, 75 people from across the country have been arrested for suspected links with the ISIS. 21 of them belong to Kerala alone, 16 from Telangana, 9 from Karnataka, and the rest from Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Jammu and Kashmir, and West Bengal. Kerala is known for its cultural diversity, natural bounty, green fields and waterways. Kerala's emergence on the ISIS recruitment map poses a serious threat to peace. With Harmeet Singh, this is the India Today Special Investigation Team. Welcome back. You're watching our continuing coverage of an India Today special investigation, the ISIS terror tapes. In the last part of our broadcast, I want to ask you, Jaidev Ranade, on what you believe India needs to do, because so far, whether it's the Home Ministry or various chief ministers, they've always underplayed the ISIS threat, and rightly so. But given the twin context of what's happening in Kerala and in Jammu and Kashmir, do you believe we need to be slightly more on alert than we have been so far?
Well, I think I agree that the ISIS threat is not that great at the moment. We have, more threat from the local organizations which are functioning in J&K and from the Pakistani outfits functioning in J&K. But having said that, let me say that there are 2 things that we need to do. As I mentioned earlier in the program, the ISIS is looking now for soft targets in order to build up its own credibility, which is sagging at the moment. India is one of them. And we need to be vigilant. And there are 2 things I think we can do very quickly. There are a large number of vacancies in the police forces in India, I think about 20 or 30 lakhs. They should start recruiting them in addition, and that is where your community policing will strengthen. The second is we need a more vigorous monitoring of internet traffic. Despite secure encrypted applications, there are still ways in which we can monitor a sizable
and
amount
finally,
of traffic.
Sandeep, the fact that people believe that it is Jannat, it's heaven on earth, and therefore they should go. A lot of public awareness is required. Sure. Testimonies from people who've been there, who tell you what a living hell this place is, and that could deter people as well.
That counter narrative needs to be worked on pronto, and there's a sense of complacency when it comes to ISIS, because there's a large section of people which believe that ISIS doesn't pose a threat and we've won the war against ISIS, and they've already declared mission accomplished. But we should not rest on our oars, and I think they should be more proactive in tackling ISIS online, and that calls for a counter propaganda, a
counter jihad against the ISIS. An online jihad is in order. Thank you very much, the both of you, for joining us. This is a story we'll continue to track very, very closely. For the first time on TV, you saw the ISIS terror tapes. We'll bring you reactions to this investigation and a lot more. Thank you for tuning in. News and updates continue when we come back on the other side. Stay with us.